Okay, hi everyone. This is Laura from Ross Draper Library, and today we are talking about observation and discovery for our Growing with Gardens program. So we're going to talk about how we can observe and discover things in nature and in our backyards and in our gardens. So as I wait for a few people to come in, I'm going to just show you, as we always do every week, the updates on our library garden here. So I have some pictures. We've been having some issues with our printer, so I don't have the printing method this week. I can't show you the garden because our Wi-Fi doesn't work out there, so technology hasn't been our total friend during this, but we're going to try this out. I have them on my phone, so hopefully you can see some of these pictures. So this here is the zinnias, and as you can see, we have so many right now. We only had buds 2 weeks ago, but now look how many flowers have popped up. We have some beautiful orange and red. And here's a close-up because I just can't get over how beautiful they are. So I had to get a little photo shoot going on with them. So here's the zinnias. Whoops. Hopefully you can see these. And as I show you these, I would love to know what's happening in your gardens. Sorry, got a notification. What's happening in your gardens? What are you growing? This is our broccoli. Oh, if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, here's our carrots. That's the broccoli. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's our peppers. Look at our peppers. Look how good they're growing. That one's almost ready to be picked, I think. What's growing in your gardens? I'll just do it one by one. Here's our basil. It's huge. It's really growing very well. And then we have our marigolds, which are also beautiful shades of orange. And they just keep popping up. More and more flowers. Do you have flowers in your gardens and in your backyards? And if you do, have you been harvesting any vegetables? If you have gardens, have you been making any recipes? If you have flowers, have you picked some, maybe made a bouquet or a craft? I would love to hear what you have been doing with your garden. And then we have here our cosmos. These really made me proud because they were looking pretty weak in the beginning, but now they're growing really tall. You probably have had that experience in your gardens before where something was looking like it wouldn't survive, but then it shot right up. And here's our little tomatoes, which are so cute. And I love how they look right now. There's a ton of tomatoes on our tomato plants. So I see there are a few people here, so I'm just going to let you know that as I look in different directions, it's because I have different screens and I'm just checking to see if we have any comments on the video up there. So we're talking about observation and discovery today. Okay, so I have a comment that it's freezing up. So let me just check the video here. Okay, I'm not getting any error messages, so I'm just going to keep going. Hopefully it will work all right, but please let me know in the comments if it's getting worse or if it's okay. Technology. Okay, so today we're talking about observation and discovery. So these Facebook comments, I think, are delayed for sure because I just got a comment about what's growing in the garden. So white zucchini, I've never even heard of that. Wow, I eat every vegetable, but I've never even heard of white zucchini. Okay, peas, love peas, and 20 pounds of beets. Wow, that's a lot of beets. I also, at my home garden, we're growing beets, and it is really exciting because I love beets, and we haven't grown them in a long time, so I love beets. Okay, we're good now. Okay, great news. Okay, so thank you for sharing what's happening with your gardens. I love hearing about that since we can't be here together working on our library garden and hearing from you. So what does observation and discovery have to do with our gardens and with nature? Well, we've actually been talking about it throughout all of our sessions, really, but today we're really going to focus in on it. So you guys might know what observation means. You might have heard people say before. You might know what the word means. Observation, oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, and I'm reading the comments that we've never had a white zucchini, but we think it might be a cross. I love the surprises in a garden, the things that you discover in your garden without even planning for it. It's so exciting to see things that pop up without even meaning to plant them there or to cross plants. That's really cool. I would love to see one. Okay, so observing means paying attention and noticing things. So when maybe someone says you're an observant person, that means that you're able to pay attention and pick up on little details maybe that other people don't notice. So observation in nature means that you are noticing things about nature and you're looking closer at your surroundings. What's really important for observation is that you're being curious and you're asking questions about nature. That's the big thing for observation. So you see something, maybe you see a bird in the tree, and you observe that it looks different from the other birds you've seen. And you ask, why does it look different? What is that bird? You're asking questions and you're being curious. That then leads to discovery. So discovery means that you are finding something out, or you're finding something. And this thing might often be surprising or exciting or unexpected even. So observation leads to discovery because you notice something, you ask a question, maybe you do some research to answer the question, and then you discover something new. So actually, those can make some really clear steps, and I've put them on these cards for you to follow along. These are the 5 steps for observation and discovery. They're very simple, and it just takes you through the process. So first, you observe. So, like I said in my example before, you observe that there is a bird in the tree that looks very different. And then you ask a question. What is that bird? Why does it look different? Where'd that bird come from? What is it doing? Many questions, or just one question. Then you might research. You might go to a book or go online or ask somebody else about that bird. So maybe you look in a book or a bird guide, field guide, and you try to look for that bird. And then you discover, that that bird is a rare bird maybe, and that it lives in your yard or nearby. And this last step is kind of optional, but it's probably one of the most fun steps because you get to share what you've discovered with other people, with your friends, your family, anyone. And you can tell them, hey, there's this awesome rare bird and it lives here. So you can share all the cool things that you have observed and discovered. So we did go through a little example, but I'm going to show you another example of what observation and discovery might look like. So you can do this experiment at home if you have access to pine cones. So all you need is 2 pine cones and water. So first, you might observe some pine cones look different from others. You might even notice that some pine cones on the scales, some are open, like open and fanned out, and some are closed and squished together. So you ask a question. Why are the scales on pine cones sometimes open and sometimes closed? That's your question. Why do they look different? going to do some research. Maybe you find out that moisture affects the scales opening and closing. Maybe it looks different when it rains. So there's a lot of different ways to research. You can ask people, you can read something, you can watch a video, or you can do an experiment all on your own just to find out maybe what's going on. So here's what I did. I took a jar of water and I put one pine cone in the jar of water, and then the other pine cone was left out to dry. And what happened? Can you guys see that? So this one was the dry one, and this one was the wet one. Hopefully you can see that one in the jar there. There we go. If you're saying that the one in the wet jar closed up, then you're absolutely right. So maybe you've discovered this, and now you want to know more. So maybe you look up some more details, and you find out that pine cones have little tiny seeds in them. And when it's wet, they close up because those tiny seeds will get waterlogged and they'll get heavy because of the rain or the moisture. And when they fall out of the pine cone, they'll stay right there. They'll just like fall to the ground and be heavy and stay there, right next to the pine tree that the pine cone came from. But when it's dry outside, the pine cone opens up, and that allows the little seeds to blow away in the wind and then land far away from that pine tree where this pine cone came from. So that way, pine trees can reproduce and spread out their seeds. So what did we discover? We discovered that, on to our next step, what did we discover? We discovered that pine cones open and close depending on moisture and the weather. So we also discovered that pine cones all on their own can help themselves produce more trees, and they move, which is like such an awesome observation. So sometimes researching can be looking at facts in books, and sometimes it can just be doing a fun experiment. Or maybe if you have a question like, what would happen if I put this in water, or if I put this in the sun, you know, you can find discoveries on your own. And then you can share this, like I shared this with you. And if you do this at home, you can share what happens with your family and your friends. And that way, you can let other people know how important it is to observe and discover things about nature and how fun it can be. So when we are going outside and we want to observe, it can be very overwhelming because there's so much to look at, right? And we want to kind of focus in on a certain area or a certain spot or something. So here's a little activity that you can whip up maybe at home that will help you focus in. These are my observation binoculars. So these binoculars won't magnify things, of course, but they will help you to limit what you see. And sometimes when you limit what you see, you can actually see more because you're making yourself focus in on something, maybe like a patch of grass or a branch or a certain tree, something like that, or a certain flower in your garden, and you can really focus in on that and really observe what's happening right there and watch it. So to make this, it's just 2 paper tubes. You can use toilet paper tubes, paper towel rolls, cutting them up, whatever you want. And then you just hot glue them together. So I put some paper folded up in between mine because I wanted to make them a little bit bigger so they would fit my face. So you can adjust them with paper or with other things to space them out, or you can just glue them right together like that. And then you're going to punch holes in the sides, both sides, and just tie yarn, string, whatever you want, onto your little binoculars. And then you can decorate them any way you want. Paint them, put stickers on them, draw on them, whatever you want. And these will help you with your observation. So now that we helped ourselves observe more, we're going to practice discovery. Since we can't go outside together and discover things together, I have a few fun facts for you to discover. There are so many fun facts to discover about nature. There are so many things that we don't know. And fun facts are always really exciting because I didn't know most of these. So it's really fun to find out something new. So what's going to happen is I'm going to read these to you and hold them up. And if you're watching live right now, you can join in the comments if you have guesses as to what creature we're talking about. Or if you're watching later, you can just shout out at home. Whatever you want to do to join in here. This is our first fun fact. What birds can weigh less than a penny? Less than a penny. So very light. Very tiny birds. I'm going to give it a minute or a few seconds here because as we've learned, the Facebook, I'm seeing them delayed. So I'm just going to wait and see if anyone has any guesses. I'm also going to give you a hint before I show you the creature we're talking about. So what birds weigh less than a penny? Here we have our first guess, and it's right. Absolutely a hummingbird. As we know, they're tiny, they beat their wings super fast, that was the clue. And that hummingbird, some hummingbirds can weigh less than a penny. That one is incredible. Let's see what we got next. What insect has more muscles than a human? What insect has more muscles than a human? Can we discover what insect this is? There are so many insects, of course, so I'm going to give you the hint. These insects turn into butterflies. I bet you guys know this one, now that I said the butterfly hint, huh? We have caterpillar. Can you believe that caterpillars have more muscles than a human? Next time you watch a caterpillar, think about that. They're mighty, superhero bugs. Okay, yes, caterpillar. I figured someone, yep, caterpillar. Okay, I'll give a little more time on this one so you guys maybe if you have some guesses, they can come in. Okay, I'll give you a little before I say the hint. So, what insect could leap the length of a basketball court if it were the size of a human? I can jump maybe 4 feet away, maybe a little more than that because I dance, but I can't even imagine jumping the length of a basketball court. What amazing insect is this? Think about insects that leap. You kind of walk through the grass and they pop out of the grass and land far away. I'm sure that we have some coming in. I will say the hint. The hint is that they also have a loud chirp, a loud sound that they make. We're going to discover that this insect is, yes, a grasshopper. Great job. It's a grasshopper. You know that they jump a long way, but when you put it next to that comparison, that's crazy that they could jump a whole basketball court if they were a human. Great job, guys. Thank you for guessing. Okay, here's our next one. Which animal has hearing so strong it can hear a beetle walking on a leaf? A super hearer. I don't know if that's a term, but I made it up. It can hear a beetle walking on a leaf. I didn't even know that made a sound. But this insect, or animal, I'm sorry, not an insect, it's an animal. Well, it's a mammal, if that gives you any more ideas. Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint because Lots of animals have really good hearing. These animals fly during the nighttime. Might be able to get it now. So these animals fly at the nighttime, and they have super hearing that lets them hear a beetle walking on a leaf. I can imagine being able to hear that many things. You would have so many sounds to listen to. You also see these animals a lot during Halloween. Bat or owl, see, you can see both of those during Halloween. I will say one of those is right. I'll wait like a couple more seconds to see if we have another guess. Those are really, really good guesses because I'm pretty sure that both of them have huge hearing abilities. Here it is. It's the bat. Bats are so awesome. They have thumbs. They're the smallest mammal. They're the only mammal that can fly. They're just cool in all sorts of ways. But yes, they can hear so well that they could hear a beetle walking on a leaf. Okay, our last one here, our last fun fact to discover. What insect lays sticky eggs on the bottom of leaves to hide them from predators? This could be a lot of insects. This is probably the most challenging one to guess. So, I will say it's an insect that you see a lot on flowers. If you know anything about other bugs, they eat aphids. Those are also challenging hints. But I will just tell you one more obvious hint. They are red. Spittlebugs. Okay, spittlebugs also might lay sticky eggs. I'm not sure about that, but that's a great guess. It's not spittlebugs. But now that I said they're red, you might know it now. They also have spots. I would love to have you guys here chiming in your answers, but it's really nice to have you participating this way, even if it is a little laggy. I would love to know more about spittlebugs now. I can observe them maybe and discover some new facts. Keeps refocusing. I'm just gonna try to hold it still. All right, so these insects lay sticky eggs to hide them from predators. And it's a ladybug. So you can, maybe if you go outside, I'm not sure, and you carefully look under leaves, you might be able to see ladybug eggs. So that's a pretty clever trick. They hide them from predators underneath leaves. Thank you guys so much for chiming in with your guesses. That was really fun to hear from you guys and to discover those really awesome things about some of the creatures that you might have in your garden and in your backyard. Sometimes, as we've discovered, you don't need to know all the answers, and you don't even need, at the end of the day, if you have a question about something and it doesn't have a clear answer, that's okay too. You've still observed and you've still discovered new things and you've noticed new things outside. So those were our activities, and then I'm just going to go through some activities for you to do at home. If you got the garden bag, these are in your packet, but here's just some activities that you can put into your, hit myself in the face, garden journal, or just do on a piece of paper, whatever you want to do. The first one is a sun catcher. And have you guys been able to start on your sun catchers or gather some things for your sun catchers? You can make these at home even if you don't have the supplies that were from the bags. So you can just get cardstock or any paper and make a frame. You can either cut it out, leaving the outside in one piece, or you can cut strips of cardstock and kind of glue them together and to make a rectangle or a square or whatever you want to do. You can also cut out the center of a paper plate, and that works really well for your sun catcher. If you have contact paper or something like this, you can use this. This is the best thing to use. It's easiest. You just peel it off, stick it to your frame. If you're hanging it, leave room right there at the top to hang it. Stick it to your frame, and once it's sticky here, you take your things that you found outside. So if you go on like a nature walk, or if you're outside observing and you collect some flowers, some plants, feathers, whatever you want to collect. I think flower petals are the best for this craft because they're really colorful and they shine, the sun shines through them. So you stick those on here, and then once you're finished creating your pattern, you can put another piece of contact paper over top of it. You can try to use plastic wrap and stretch it really tight over the frame and kind of attach it with glue or something. That won't work as well, but you can experiment and try it out. And then you can glue the other frame, if you have two frames, on top of the other one to give like a finished look. And you can decorate your frame, you can add things to it, and then you can just hang it up in your window and watch the sun come through. If you press your flowers and your plants beforehand, the sun will shine through even more. You can just do it right from finding them outside. So that's our craft. Here are some things you can put in your garden journal. So these are observation circles. All that you do is you take a long piece of yarn or string or something like that, and you go outside with your observation circles or your journal, and you put it in your yard in a circle or any shape you want, really. And then maybe use your binoculars and start observing. Start studying that space and see what you can find. So you can draw what your circle looks like. You can describe it with words. You can draw or name the insects that you see in your circle or other creatures that you see in your circle, birds, rabbits. You can back up far away from your circle and see if anything crosses it. If there's like rabbits or something, it will be afraid if you're sitting right there. You can draw the plants in your circle, other things you find like animal tracks, droppings, stuff like that. You can describe the day, the weather, and you can make any other observations. So just draw circles and then start recording all the things that you observe in your observation circles. The next activity you can do is a listening walk. So you can just make this list on your own, or you can just make a list here, like collect all the sounds that you hear. Go outside, you can practice your deep breathing that we practiced in our mindfulness session, and start to listen. What sounds do you hear? You can cross off like the obvious ones, like dogs barking, birds singing, lawnmower, rain, airplane, wind, insects buzzing, stuff like that. Or you can just list other things that you hear. So that is a listening walk. And then you can also make a journey stick or journey bracelet. And all that is that you go on a nature walk, you observe things. Maybe you can do this at the same time as your listening walk, and you can pick up things that you find interesting without disturbing anything that's living there or growing. So, you know, it could be leaves, seeds, flowers, things like that. And you can either tape them to a piece of cardboard, tie them to a stick, or you can wrap duct tape, sticky side out, around your wrist loosely, and then you can stick your little objects on there and make a bracelet. And it can look really pretty. I don't have the color because of our printing problem, but it can look really pretty, and you can make patterns with it. Have you guys ever done any of these activities before? Do you like going outside and observing nature? The last one you can do, I really like this one. You can make an egg carton scavenger hunt. So you can just pick different things that you might find outside. Maybe you can ask someone to challenge you and come up with some objects and then give it to you, but you can put this on top of an egg carton and you can just choose different objects. Here's some common ones like rocks, pine cones, leaves, grass, bark, seeds, flowers, dirt, different stuff like that. And then all you do, you can color, decorate that, draw things on the outside. And then all you do is you go around your yard or your garden or wherever the park may be, and you can collect things in your egg carton. And you can match them up. So if you found an acorn, put the acorn here. And then it's like your little treasure box of all the things you discovered on your nature walk. So that one's really fun. It's a really fun way to collect them all in a container. Okay, and so I did show you the craft, and so that was our craft that you can do to practice observation and discovery. And then I have one more experiment to leave you with. This one is very simple. It is a rain gauge. So, have you ever wondered how much rain is collecting outside? Or maybe if it rained and you go outside and you have like a wheelbarrow or a bucket or something, you see there's lots of rain collected in it. Well, you can actually make a rain gauge and measure how much rain you're getting. And that way you can see how much rain is getting into your gardens or your plants, and you can decide whether or not they need more water, or maybe they don't need water because they've lots of rain. So all you do for this is just get a container, a plastic container. It can be a bottle, a jar, plastic jar. This is like a pretzel container, anything that you can find. It's best if it has straight sides like this, okay? And you can either attach it to something outside, like tie it or make it sure it's standing up straight so the wind won't knock it over, or you can put rocks in the bottom of it in a flat layer, and you can make sure it doesn't blow away that way. And then you just let it collect rain, make sure it's not covered by trees or something else, and let it collect rain. And then you can go outside and measure the rain that has collected in your container with a ruler. Or you can make measurement marks on your container before you put it outside. So like you can mark 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, so you can just very easily see how much rain you're getting. This is not exact, so it's not exactly how much rain that you're getting, but it's a really fun and easy way to see if you have a lot of rain, if your garden needs moisture, if you need to go out and water your plants. Most gardens need 1 inch weekly, but that can vary. So you can just use your judgment and your observation to see how much rain you're getting, and to track the weather, and to see if your plants need some more water or need less water. So that's a really fun way every day for you to go out and observe something and discover something new about the weather. So I think, looking around, I think that is all I have for you today, but I do want to say that if you have completed any of these activities that I've gone through in this video, that means you've already earned your Discovery and Observation badge on Beanstack. And I know a lot of you are already on Beanstack, but if you don't know what Beanstack is, it's an app, or you can access it online on the website. You can make an account and you can track your reading and your activities on Beanstack. And then when you complete those reading and activities, you earn tickets, and you can put those tickets towards prizes. And we have some really awesome fun prizes this year. And we have created a lot of really fun activities, not just in the Growing with Gardens challenge, but also we have a writing challenge. We have the summer reading challenge, activities, reading, adult challenge. So there's lots happening on Beanstack. So go check that out, make an account, and follow along that way. There's still time to do those challenges before we close some of them in August. So thank you so much for listening today and participating with me. It was great to hear from you guys. It can feel a little empty here in this big room. We definitely miss you guys, but thank you so much for participating through this and through the bags and all these other ways. So I hope you have fun observing and discovering things in your garden, in your backyard. Thank you for your support again, and I will leave you with a little poem, as we always finish out with. This one's called Who Has Seen the Wind? It's written by Christina Rossetti. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you, but when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the trees bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. That one's really good for observation because sometimes we observe things in unexpected ways. We can't see the wind, but we can see how the wind is affecting the trees. So open up your eyes, use your little binoculars, let yourself discover new things. You are welcome. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.